What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to break down the drop shot for you. So drop shot fishing is obviously everybody knows something about drop shot fishing. It's a very effective way to put fish in the boat. So let's talk about the setup when it comes to the leader. So the hook I'm using, pretty much anybody's drop shot hook, particularly like a owner Mosquito hook. I want to say this is a size 1 hook, and I will almost exclusively nose hook my baits when it comes to a drop shot. Even if I'm fishing around grass, it's easy enough to rip the grass off of the bait even without reeling it in and pulling it off by hand with an open hook. That's fishing hydrilla pretty much here at the lake that I'd usually fish at. I like to use a longer leader. This one here is an easy 24 inches, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I want to fish a little bit higher in the water column. I want the bait to have the ability to fall back down, right? So if I'm fishing this at an angle, if you cast out, you're fishing it more or less like this with the weight leading behind it. So you've got some trigonometry going there with how high the bait is going to be off the bottom. If I have a super short leader, like an 8-inch leader, and I cast it out there, that bait is going to be barely off the bottom at the beginning of that retrieve. Whereas if I have a longer leader, it's going to be higher up there. There's also a lot to do with the bite on a drop shot when you let that bait go slack, right? So I'll retrieve it by pulling it up and then kind of giving it line. And when you give it line, what you're doing is you're dragging this across the bottom at a higher up, and then you give it some line and it's going to let that bait fall back to bottom. And if you're using a relatively buoyant bait, it will have a slow fall, especially with a light hook. Some people like to use the owner Mosquito light hooks. They're a very light wire, so you got to be careful of those, like 6-pound line tops. You will bend those hooks out, no problem. But these are standard owner Mosquito hooks. When it comes to sinker selection, this is the best style when it comes to fishing anywhere around grass. This is going to be just the traditional cylinder style. This particular one is a 1/4 ounce. That is the absolute highest I personally will go when it comes to a drop shot. Perhaps if it's crazy windy, you can go up to a 3/8 ounce. But I will go down to an 1/8 of an ounce if it's slick enough out there and I just want to touch bottom. So in your tackle box, you should have 3/16 for sure. That will get you started with a drop shot. My box, I have 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce weights. You want to have as light a weight as possible because, as I showed before, as you're dragging that bait, the heavier the weight, the more it's going to want to pull that bait down as you make that retrieve. So if it's lighter, you will have that weight be more underneath the bait. I think there's a video on the Fish Moment channel where he kind of goes through that in a pool, and it's a great way to visualize that. I'll see if I can find a link and put it in the description down below for you. When it comes to worms, so I am a Roboworm guy. These are made in Camarillo, California. These are really the heart of a lot of finesse fishing. Aaron Martin's Roboworm guy. They are just the textbook finesse bait, and I like supporting these guys. They make 1,000 million different colors. They have some outstanding ones depending on the clarity of the water you're using. But for me, it's hard to beat like a purplish profile if I'm just trying to put something in the boat. If you're just getting started with drop shot fishing, go with something in the purple family. Morning Dawn is a fantastic color. Margarita. Mutilator is a fantastic color. This is Aaron's Pro Shad. But again, go with like that purplish profile. Aaron's Magic is another fantastic color. These are 4.5 inch length. Again, I almost exclusively nose hook. 4.5 inches is a good style. I've caught bluegill on this bait, so don't worry about a 4.5 inch bait with a nose hook. They will get hooked because most bass, when they go after something, and you'll see this fluke fishing as well, they will eat something head first. And not that they know the difference between the head and the tail of this, but as they can understand the direction of travel of the bait, they will typically go for the head first, and you will get those fish. When it comes to nose hook fishing, much like I talked about in my Ned rig video, you want to reel set hook these fish. And I think I have a couple of videos I'll put up here on the screen of some reel sets. This is not a jig where you've got to get past a weed guard and a thick shank hook and drive that hook through. These are very small hooks that we're dealing with. They will come through, no problem. So you don't want to pop your line just jacking them. Just, you feel the fish on there, reel in and pull back and just take up line, and you will hook those fish and you'll get them in. So that's the hook set. For rod and reel, this is a Dobyns Fury 702 SF rod. This is a medium light fast action. I love the medium light when it comes to a Ned rig or a drop shot. A lot of sensitivity there, loads up fantastic on those reel sets. I'm using 20-pound Power Pro braid, high visibility braid, to 8 to 10 pound, depending on the water clarity, Sunline FC Sniper line. And for a leader length of the actual fluorocarbon, it's probably 15 feet. I usually do 3 hand-to-hand pulls, so that's going to be about 15, 18 feet, something in that range. That gives you enough line to really, because like I said, I'm using a 2-foot leader, so if I break this sucker off, I'm eating up a lot of leader. So I like to have the blood knot that I use goes through a spinning reel just fine without any issues. This is a Shimano Sienna reel. This is a 2500 HG, so a high gear, a 6.2 to 1. When it comes to any kind of Ned rig or finesse fishing on a spinning rod, I want to have a high ratio, high speed reel. I'm ready to bring it in. I'm not really deep diving a crankbait or something like that where the retrieve speed has something to do with the performance or action of my bait. It's all in the rod tip when it comes to finesse fishing. So give me a high speed reel. If they made a 7 to 1, I would buy it. I like to bring in line very quickly when it comes to a spinning reel. Anyway, so that's how I use the drop shot. When it comes to fishing conditions, cover is probably your most important part when it comes to fishing a drop shot. I like to fish it around something. I'm not really using it to cover open water because it's such a small profile. It doesn't move any water. You really have, sometimes I like to envision the drawing power of a bait, right, as like on your sonar, right, a radius around the bait. To me, a fish is not going to come more than 2 to 4 feet to come get this bait in remotely stained water. If I've got like 3 to 5 feet of visibility. Now, if I'm fishing Castaic Lake or something like that in California that has very clear water, or at least it used to, if you've got 15, 20 feet of visibility, drop shot's an excellent way to go. Your drawing power grows substantially with the water clarity. But if you're fishing kind of in the south here with a lot less visibility, you want to hone in this bait around some sort of cover. Fishing open water is not going to be all that effective because your drawing power is just almost non-existent. I would tend to go towards something more like a jig that has a lot beefier profile that's moving more water, right? They can detect the ability of that bait to move the water to find it. That hits their lateral line and they can hone in on the bait. This drop shot is going to be highly visible. So I want to be casting it at the rock pile and fishing the rock pile. I don't want to fish 20 feet away from it on either side. I want to fish where I think the fish are with a drop shot. So that covers the drop shot. I hope you learned something about it. This is probably one of my #1 go-to baits when the fishing gets tough. I've caught, as I went back and looked at my fishing log, for the year of 2021, I've 1 out of every 8 fish, or 13%. Of my fish have come from a drop shot. And it's usually when fishing gets tough, when I'm not really getting them the way I want to, I will pull up a drop shot and we'll probably put something in the boat. Appreciate you guys coming along. Hope you learned something. It would help me out if you give me a like or subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more bait breakdowns like this. We'll see you next time. Good luck. Actually, I got one more thing for a minute. I can't believe I completely forgot to talk about this, is vertical fishing a drop shot. I just got off the lake this evening and was able to pick up several fish fishing in 18 or 19 feet of water. I was graphing a bunch of fish that were holding real tight to the bottom. Was able to flip out there that drop shot, put it right on top of their head, and picked up several pretty good quality fish on there. I'll show you what I was seeing on the fish finder, as well as a couple of fish catches right after this. So definitely keep that in mind. If you can cast or retrieve a drop shot, but vertical fishing it is also an extremely good way to go if the conditions are right. All right, that's all I got. Have a good night.